don't move on. You know, I mean, there's teams that continually make mistakes. And they just continue to make those mistakes because they keep the same players. Yeah. And obviously, they're to move on from a first-round pick,
that hurts.
3 years removed, tells you a lot about where their minds were going forward here.
There's a couple things that what Brian's saying makes me think about. Number one, I mean, I didn't think his camp was going down, but it makes me think that they went into camp knowing Taco wasn't going to be on the team. Because when we watched those preseason games, he played well. Even the first game where he played well, he had the weirdest post-game commentary about I'm inspired by my agent.
So strange.
The 49er game, yeah.
And so you look at that and you go, look, he played well. He had opportunities to play, and he still wasn't given that opportunity. I'm not saying the team took it from him. I'm saying everything he did leading up to this put him in that position where they had made their decision. To your point, they've had the guy, and he's not a fit for what they want to do for whatever reason, so they made the decision to move on.
Well, how many times do we hear the term Jason Garrett kind of guy? And I can tell you
right
person
kind of guy,
who, right kind of guy attitude, it was not. It was oil and water as far as what Rod Marinelli wants, and he makes up his mind quick. If you don't give him physically what he wants you to do, he'll give you a year or so. He'll beat you down in the process.
Sure will.
But if you don't and have a bad attitude along with it, he's going to pass over you immediately. That's what happened a long time ago.
Linz is right. He'll find out how tough you are both physically and mentally. And that's something when you talk to Rod. I remember a couple of times I was doing the games on 105.3 with Brad Sham, and I would go up to Rod before the game and, hey, Taco's playing better. And he'd look at me like,
ignore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And with Rod's very much, you don't have to pull things from Rod. Rod's a very honest person about that. And when I didn't, I was thinking, man, it's kind of a funny reaction to have of a guy that he's potentially thinking about. But, the water probably was under the bridge for him already. He had moved on. And now, but what was funny the other day, on 105.3, once again, Jerry Jones being interviewed, he hadn't given up on Taco. So now you're thinking, okay, is this one of the things where the coaching staff and the front office are kind of at odds right now? And I honestly thought that they were going to keep him because of what's going on with Tyrone Crawford and that help. So you always want to protect yourself when you're in that front office mode, even though the general manager's responsibility is to tell the coach, hey, listen, I know you don't like this guy, but we're going to keep him because we've got other issues that we're going to have to deal with here down the stretch.
I wonder how much interest they had. Because I read Jerry's comment
It's got to be this, right? It's got to be zero.
Oh, no, yeah.
It's got to be zero. But I read Jerry's comment as, hey, we still have faith in Taco, as in, hey, we can still trade the guy. Like, well, there's still, I still have
there was
a
team. No, there was a team and I said it today on Periscope, the Houston Texans were a team that they were working with during when they were cutting down to 53.
Yeah.
And, I was hearing some whispers, not so much from this group, but from guys around the league that said, hey, watch the Texans. They've got a player in mind that they're looking at, and they just couldn't pull the swap that way. So, yeah, matter of fact, I had a couple of teams call me already saying, hey, Broadus, what do you know about this guy? Is there something that we're not hearing or seeing and all? And I'm like, no, this is what the guy is. So, yeah, I feel like that he's going to go on waivers, 24 hours. We'll see if some teams – he's got a very manageable contract to claim. Plus, he's got a fifth-year option, if you want to pick that up down the stretch as well.
So, basically, you've got the Cowboys have already paid a signing bonus.
Right.
So, if a team takes him on now, I mean, I don't know if he's going to clear waivers or not.
Right.
That's to be determined. But something Lindsay said combined with what you said reminded me of what the Cowboys have done really well. Right. So they kept their guys that they drafted, and they get these guys signed, the right kind of guys. But if you look at the times that they've gone outside, there's still connections. Yeah. Like, in other words, Amari Cooper, I always think about Jason Garrett and how he feels about Nick Saban.
Oh, sure.
Because you can do your scouting and you know what the guys do, but even Rolando McClain, when he came in here, and on the outside we'd go, well, that's not the right kind of guy, but Nick Saban signed off on him. That probably means a little something to Jason Garrett. So they do a really good job of keeping the guys that they get that they want to keep, and when they do go outside, it's still someone who's sort of tangentially related to this.
Well, like exactly what you're saying. I thought it was so interesting last week. We asked the coordinators and Chris Richard and Jason Garrett about Robert Quinn coming back. And before they even talked about his talent, they said, man, what a high-character guy. We can't wait to have come out and lead, which I just thought that was interesting. I mean, coming off a suspension, they were backing him that much. So plays a huge factor.
Yeah, but I mean, I'll tell you something about Taco, though. There's been times where I've tried to protect the scouts and Will McClay, on the Taco pick.
Yeah.
And I've said, hey, well, what about, we were talking about T.J. Watt. A lot of people say, oh, they could have had T.J. Watt.
Can we let go of that?
No,
like,
I know. But,
so many fans are still saying that.
But you could play that with anybody.
Sure.
You took Zach Martin instead of Johnny Manziel.
You take Tom Brady.
Yeah, exactly. So you get in a situation, though, where I was, even on 105.3, talking about, Will and those guys brought up T.J. Watt and all that. And Will heard me say that and got a hold of me and said, no, this one's on me. This one's on the they've had a lot of success drafting guys, but Will has also come out and said, no, wait a minute. There's been some good, and when there's bad, I got to take what's the bad. So you got to give them credit for, again, identifying that, hey, we move on from this guy, but also, Will McClay being the director of player personnel the way he is, saying, no, I'll wear this one. I will wear the white. And again, you talk about the right fit. At the time, they thought it was the right fit. They thought he could come in there. But we were evaluating him and thought he's a left end. We were thinking about what this team, they're really good. Do they need a right end? Don't they need a right end? But they've already got Lawrence that could play the left end.
I think they projected him, and I could be wrong here, but I think
never had the twitch though.
I think they saw the length and they said maybe we can turn this guy into maybe a David Irving style, the way David Irving was able to win on the inside.
Right.
And maybe he can play a little bit on the inside and do both.
Right.
And as they went along, he was just never strong enough to play inside.
So in just kind of reading between the lines, though, the reason that Taco didn't work out here are non-physical reasons.
I mean,
it's the way that
it might be the toughness, though.
That-
I think if you play for Rod Marinelli, he wants a certain style of player, and there's a lot of guys. Trust me, that you could say, oh, he could develop toughness. No, not really. Either you want to do it or you don't want to do it. And there's a lot of guys that he has in that room across the way here that want to do it. And he felt like that Taco was probably not a guy that was marching with everybody else down the road.
So we can throw out words like oftentimes the first round pick is entitled or feels like they deserve this. And when they don't get what they want, there's two ways to go about it, right? You can go out there and kick some tail and earn it,
right,
or you can pout. And the guys that end up pouting their way out of places, that's really hard to scout because usually when you're drafting a guy in the first round, they haven't been through on-field adversity to where they've always been at the top of their group.
Right.
And so it's really hard to know how is this guy going to react when he's in a group of people that are kicking his tail.
Well, see,
and you get to the league, Brian, you got to change a lot about the way you play, and you're going to have people telling you all the time to change your techniques and work on this and change this, and if you don't want to change.
And people are talking about you too. His ears were
Reed,
open.
searching your name on Twitter.
His ears were open from the beginning. That first training camp, his ears were open.
If players ever tell you, oh, we don't listen, we don't hear that, we don't read, they're lying to you. They know everything.
Some block it out and some don't.
Some people, but there's a lot of guys that don't. And he was one of those guys that didn't block it out, And it's funny because they took another kid from Michigan in Jordan Lewis that has that toughness. That has that. Look what they did to Jordan Lewis. Jordan Lewis, all of a sudden, they had to put him on offense and run jet sweeps with him to kind of bring him back. But he had the toughness to stay with it and compete and all that. And I feel like, though, that with Taco, it was really the opposite with him.
All right, so let's dive into a little bit of the injury issues. You mentioned Tyrone Crawford earlier. We'll do that next. It is the Happy Hour brought to you by SWBC Mortgage on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Back to the SWBC Mortgage Dallas Cowboys Happy Hour. Check this out. Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
Oh, play that jam. Oh, yeah. The Happy Hour, presented by SWBC Mortgage on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network, also airing on 1080 KRLD AM. It's Kevin KT Turner with Brian Broaddus, Lindsey Draper, and Jeff Skin Wade. Any moment, going to be joined by Hall of Famer, 5-time Super Bowl champion Charles Haley.
Here we go.
So interested to see what he has to say about
There's somebody who
Taco.
knows about defensive end play.
That's right. That's right.
That'll get this thing lit.
That really does start turning things up. Let's talk about injuries real quick. You mentioned Tyrone Crawford, the hip flaring up a little bit. That made the Taco move a tad questionable,
Sure did.
knowing that Tyrone Crawford's status is up in the air. Is there anything we need to know? Any updates on Tyrone?
Brian, I know you were thinking Taco may hang around a little bit.
Yeah, I did.
For that injury.
I did think that, and to me, that was where, you try and protect yourself. When you start taking guys away, and then now you've got guys hurt, you want the best bodies you can to be involved. So yeah, that's where I think that they possibly could have done things. So,
All right.
yeah. How about this man?
We'll get
Man
back.
knows a little bit about defensive end play.
Well, yeah, we'll get back into that in a
He
minute.
just dove right into a hush puppy.
Oh yes, enjoying a hush puppy right now. It is Charles Haley. Hello, Charles. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. And yourself?
Oh, doing awesome. Having a good time. We've just kind of been kicking around some of the topics of the day, just some of the big news of the day with the release of Taco. I know Taco's a guy you've spent a lot of time with. Do you have any thoughts you'd like to share on that?
No, I'm just hearing it for the first time. Did they just cut him?
Yeah.
They did.
Well, he asked for it. Be careful what you wish for, right?
Yeah.
Free
He,
me.
he did say it publicly. He didn't say it out loud to everybody.
No, I thought he said it on a tweet or something.
Yeah,
He sure did.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Charles, but when you look at him overall as a player, was it a situation where he wasn't a good enough fit for what they were trying to do, or was it just really the personality you felt like hurt him more than the playing ability, or was it a combination of really everything there?
He's been hurt a lot.
Yeah, banged up.
I know you tried to work with him out there. You're out here with these guys at practice. You like to help the guys when you can. What was that like when you tried to help him?
Well, like I said, he was hurt all the time. It was ankle, knee. It was always something that was banged up, and so people start thinking, you're dealing with excuses, and as I tell guys, I play with knees, back, whatever, right? Sure. When you put the uniform on, you're healthy.
Yeah.
When we make that decision to walk out on the field on Sunday, you're not hurt. You made a decision to go out there to play.
Yep.
Yeah.
How much? Go ahead.
I was just saying, your teammates start thinking about you differently when they're out there grinding and they're beat up and they see you hurt a lot?
Yeah.
In a negative way? I'm assuming you don't get any sympathy in that locker room.
Hey, you don't make the club in the tub, but some do. But some do. Some try it. At the end of the day, it's a respect level.
Right.
Once you lose it, you can't get it back.
Right.
So, I was trying to catch him and tell him to be quiet and just finish it. You start something, finish it. It's not about you're unhappy. I said, hell, nobody's happy all the time, and but you get to play to something that you love.
Yeah.
I don't understand guys that don't understand that point.
Yeah.
How much do you think, just for everyone, how much do you guys think Robert Quinn can add? Immediately, his hand is still, banged up, but how much of an impact do you think he'll have in the early stages of Robert Quinn returning to the team?
Big time. He's a real pro. He got a lot of tools. I just want to see how he does because he hasn't practiced. He practiced today. He looked great, but he got winded quickly. So I don't know if he's in game shape.
They asked him today in the locker room, Charles, if he'd be ready for 60 snaps, and he said, well, a guy's never going to say he can't do something, but I'm not 100% sure about that. No chance, right?
There's no chance in the world. They won't.
No
if
chance.
they got sense, you wouldn't put him out there to get hurt like that.
Sure.
You know, you use them sparingly. You know, both fourth and second quarter, he has to be in the game. With him coming, Tank now, they can't double him.
Right.
Yep.
Because this kid can play.
Yeah.
And then, you know, you got inside guys that are difference makers.
Right.
And 79, I can't wait to see him play.
Yeah.
Right now, he's a deer in headlights.
Yeah.
Everybody yelling at him.
Yeah.
You know, and
The Marinelli way.
well, no, it's not Marinelli yelling. It's other people yelling,
Sure.
and he just, you know, he I don't know whether he wants to cry, fight, yell, what, you know, right now, and he, you know, these guys don't understand basic math. The only weight you carry is what you put on.
Yeah.
You know, other people can't put weight on you.
Right.
You put it on yourself. So if you believe, you have confidence in who you are, you weight free. But if you're not, then every time you hear somebody say, well, he plays too high, you know, he's not a true second round. So all that start weighing on you.
Right. Can you beat down a young guy, Charles? Can people beat down a young player to where he might not recover from that? Or is that something that he's got to develop that toughness that you talk about in order to play the game?
How many quarterbacks have you seen do that? Tim Tebow.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be great. What, everybody got on, you can't hit the side of a barn, right?
Sure.
Next thing you know, he's out.
Yeah.
It's human nature.
Right.
And I told the commissioner, when I talked to him, I said all first and second round draft picks should be mandatory to go get counseling.
Sure.
Because
I
so much
love
stress,
that.
it's so much stress put on them that it should be mandatory that they have to go do it and seek it. You know, when they do go seek it, it's too late because your confidence level is gone, and you may never get it unless you go somewhere else.
Right.
Because your teammates are, you know, we're unforgiving.
Oh, sure. Sure.
You know, it's funny because back then, if someone was going to say something bad about a first round or second round player who wasn't immediately contributing, it was a newspaper or maybe a radio guy or a TV guy or a fan. It wasn't on the internet for the entire world to see at all times.
Non-stop, 24 hours a day.
And that's something you do have to deal with. And there's no way that you've been taught to deal with that.
It's really easy to tell someone, hey, just tune that out. You know, I tell people all the time, hey, just tune that out. And then someone tweets me something negative and I jump all over them.
Right.
You know, it's immediate. It happens in real time. And the second you see it, so much of it, too, depends on the mood you're in when you open the tweet. If you're in a bad mood and someone sends you something negative, you're going to snap back.
Well, you know, I always go back to Bill Walsh.
Yeah.
He said, if you want to get depressed, read the paper. If you want to kill yourself, listen to sports radio.
Right.
So, you know, I've never watched it or listened to it. I still don't, because it's ingrained in me that you know, because I know who I am. I know I'm going to get pissed, and then when I see that person, then I'm getting angry, and nothing good comes from it. And plus, why put stress on myself when I don't need to put it on me? You know, and I try to tell these guys, I go person to person when I see things, and I tell them. You know, I also write, like last week I wrote The Winning Way. I write something for these guys to read. Sure. About my mentality, how I see the game, and then what I see that they're not seeing that they may need to look at, you know. So this big week is about being humble, because you know, you win a couple games, that head come out, that you know what I'm saying? You're sticking that head up, and you know, supposed to keep it down, not up, you know. So I think that's gonna. You know, I only give it to a few guys.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yeah.
Does it go just to the team?
Yeah,
or
it's
a couple,
a team.
you send it to a couple guys?
No, about 20.
I love
Rest of them I
that.
could give a shit about. You know. What?
Are they receiving the message in most circumstances?
Well, they see all sides of all facets of Charles Haley, so I don't know. Hey, when they read, they go like, God, this brother might be intelligent. And then when they hear stuff come out of my mouth, they going like, oh, nah.
little selective receiving, I guess, depending on the situation.
All right, coming up next, we'll catch up on some of the injuries going on with the Cowboys.
Right.
How they kind of repair the defensive line, where there are some guys a little banged up. We'll talk a little bit about the Dolphins. That's next on the Happy Hour, brought to you by SWBC Mortgage on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Dallas Cowboys Happy Hour. Check this out. Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
We sure are. The Happy Hour presented by SWBC Mortgage on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network and 1080 KRLD AM. I'm Kevin Turner with Charles Haley.
What's up?
Wow.
Wow.
How about that?
You know, I walked in a little late, and people would stop and say, "What's that smell?" I told them that's the smell of greatness, and when I leave, it's going with me. Damn.
Stays with you forever, baby.
Now, you know what I'm saying? I told them I'm going to charge them. They, you know, they was like hyperventilating, trying to suck it in. You know?
$5 a whiff.
Hey,
There you go.
I'm rich.
Scratch and sniff.
Stop.
We got Brian Broaddus in the house.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate
we
it.
do.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lindsay Draper's in the house.
Did you
She's
boo
a
me,
hottie.
Charles?
No,
Don't
you're a
boo
hottie,
me.
girl. You're a
I know
hottie.
y'all don't need me now that Charles is here.
Nah, they need you, girl.
And Jeff Skinwade is in the house as well.
Oh, yeah.
And it must be 7:30 because that's when they always
Look at this
raise.
sunset.
They raise the curtains.
beautiful.
We
Taking a
get to
picture.
look at the practice field. There's two guys out there playing catch. We're in here having some hush puppies and shrimp and pizza and all the great things because we're at the Cowboy Club. So nice here at the
Yep.
Star. Now, guys, let's talk about some of the guys who've been banged up. Let's start with Tyrone Crawford because
Yeah.
I think his injury has the most. At least it could carry on to other players in the defensive line. Is Christian Covington going to get more snaps? And then Antoine Woods probably factors in there as well with him being hurt. What's the latest on those guys?
Yeah, I think when you look at the Crawford injury, it kind of affects them in a couple of spots, though. When they talk about their starting right defensive end, now he's out, and then he also plays as that under tackle in the nickel. So, now they have to look at a couple different ways of doing it. Charles was talking about Hill and what he potentially can do. He might have the deer in the headlights look, but he's going to get to rush the passer this weekend against the Dolphins. And so, but yeah, with Crawford and Quinn, Lindsey was talking about Quinn. How many snaps can Quinn play? Well, today, as Charles said as well, he was on the field getting work. The thing about Quinn, at least he went through training camp. At least he went through at least 3/4 of the training camp. So once he got suspended, I saw him downstairs when he came back to work. He had his helmet and his shoulder pads with him, like he'd just taken him with him to go work. Now, he can't simulate the speed and all that, but he can get the work and the heat and stuff. But, yeah, they're going to have to rely on him. They're going to have to rely on Dorrance Armstrong as well to pick up some of that work, and then Kerry Hyder as well. So the whole line is going to have to shuffle, and they like the flexibility. That's one of the reasons why Joe Jackson has been on the active roster. Charles could tell you about a young guy at Miami, Joe Jackson, and what he could potentially have as a rusher. But, again, it's a lot of young guys getting opportunities, and that's a lot of it because they're down on that right defensive end as well.
With the guys that are healthy right now, who's the preferred 4 on 3rd and 6 in a close game in the fourth quarter?
I think, to me, if they rushed 3rd and 6, they'll go Quinn at the right end. They'll go with Malik Collins as that under tackle is what they might do. And then now you talk about, would you go Hill or no, would you put Collins at the 1, Hill at the 3, and then have Lawrence rushing off the left side. So, yeah, they're going to have to kind of mix and match. I don't think they want to go with Christian Covington playing the nose, but they might even go Kerry Hyder. Kerry Hyder might play if you put Collins at the under tackle and then at the 1 and then Hyder at the under tackle. I mean, there's a lot of different combinations, Charles, that they could have to go after Fitzpatrick this weekend for the Dolphins.
Yeah, it's a good thing and a bad thing. I think Tank doesn't understand his abilities. He could play left or right.
Sure.
And I've been trying to tell him to rotate.
Right.
Get in the middle of the field so they can't decide where you're at.
Yeah.
And the thing about him is I could tell him something and he can do it, and then he'll do it in the game.
Right.
The rest of the guys, they'll do it at practice, and then they magnets. They go chest to chest right down the middle of guys. And if I had my preferred way of teaching, I'll put them all in wrestling classes. To learn how to use use people weight against them.
Right.
Because all they want to do is bench press everybody.
But Charles, I want to ask you a question. When you were with Coach McPherson and those guys out in San Francisco, you guys did karate, didn't you? Didn't you have a karate instructor that kind of taught you guys how to use your hands, the slap, the rip, all that? That's kind of the same thing you're talking about with wrestling, right? To play with the leverage and learn how to use his body against him, right?
It was judo, yes.
Judo, I'm sorry, judo.
Yeah, and,
wax on, wax off. I'm kind of seeing that kind of thing.
No, you watch the 49ers work. You watch these guys work. They were all. It was Mr. Miyagi hands.
Yeah, man.
They were doing stuff.
They were all black belts.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, it's about gait. The gait is how far your left foot is in front of your right foot.
Right.
How much ground you cover. When you do that, you learn when you're kicking. You learn to bring your knees up higher. So then when you're doing that, that means you're exploding. Like my first step was 3.5 yards deep.
Right.
Okay. On my first step, and then everything else is gravy.
Right.
So, so you got guys that are stiff, that can only get that first foot goes to the line of scrimmage, then they take off.
Right.
So what I try to do is I take guys that, most of them don't like me, but I show them all their weaknesses.
Stop.
Yeah.
And,
you show them all your rings, too?
No, I don't show them rings. You know what? And when they get ready to tell me how to do it,
right.
I said, you know what? I wish you was here when I was playing. I'll have a gold jacket by now. You know? In other words, shut up.
Now, I want to get into something else, too. So we saw the trade. The Dolphins traded Mika Fitzpatrick, who was reportedly unhappy about being asked to play strong safety. We're seeing Jalen Ramsey trying to ask out of town in Jacksonville, and he's probably going to play tomorrow night, but he's kind of wanting out. We've seen a lot of guys kind of just be unhappy and kind of force their way out of town. Jadeveon Clowney got traded. Is that where the league is going, where players are now?
Skins our NBA guy.
Yeah.
I feel
Well,
like we're trending
it's an NBA
that
thing.
way, right?
No. Well,
Like-
here's what I would say about this, and KT has heard me bitch about this a million times on our show. The problem I have with the NFL's collective bargaining agreement is that it ultimately hurts the players because of how guaranteed money is split out when you want to part with a player. And so what's happening right now with the rookies that are on rookie contracts forcing their way out, they're forcing teams to eat signing bonus for guys that they drafted to help their team in the first place. And what I think it's ultimately going to do is that they're in the middle of collective bargaining agreement negotiations right now. I think it could force some positive changes there, because one of the things that has always restricted player movement in the NFL with trades is that no team wants to go, all right, this isn't working out. I'm going to have $10 million of dead money now and $10 million of dead money. That dead money prohibits teams from really moving and from having that player movement. If the players are going to force this, they're going to have to change their collective bargaining agreement to acquiesce to these sorts of demands. The players have never had this much power, and now what's really the agents helping them, but they're forcing all of this action. There's going to be a reaction from the teams. There has to be a reaction from the teams.
My question is, because I'm not on the same page as you on that, because like a player on the rookie salary, they count very little to the overall salary cap as a football player. It's not as the NBA is. So
right.
They wanted, when like the 49ers had for years, they had all these draft picks. They had draft picks, but they're still on that rookie contract, so they had a ton of money left. And so that's why most of the rookies now, they outplay that contract within that second year, and they want a new contract.
Right.
You know, so.
Well, what I'm saying is this. Like, for example, when the Josh Rosen thing was done in Arizona, teams are like, oh, well, that team's already paid his whole bonus.
Yeah.
I'm getting him for this. Okay, I'll give you this if you wanted it.
Sure.
It really narrows the way that you can make those trades. I also think this, barring from the NBA, I think a great example of this is Zeke. So the NBA has a thing called the Derrick Rose rule, where if you achieve certain things faster, then you can make bigger money faster. The collective bargaining agreement kills running backs. By the time they're ready to get out on the market, their best years are behind them. Teams know this. They want to use them up and spit them out. If I'm a running back, if I achieve certain things in the first 2 or 3 years, I should be able to earn my freedom based on my achievement and my usage. Those are all things that you can come to an agreement on.
Yeah, just accolades based on yards,
Yes.
carries, touches.
If a guy's going to get 400 touches in his first 2 years twice, he should be able to earn his free agency a little bit
in
faster.
our day, they call that incentive.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You have an incentive contract. They got rid of that.
Well, you know
Yeah.
what these rookies can do is just hold out. I mean, from the beginning, and that becomes a problem. We saw Joey Bosa.
Who you hurting? Who you hurting when you do that?
Well, you're hurting yourself
Who you
unless
hurting?
you're able to.
Who you hurting?
Yourself unless you're able to get it done,
Who
like
are you
Joey
hurting?
Bosa.
Who are you hurting?
Your teammates.
Teammates.
Oh, your teammates. There we go. That makes
Yeah,
sense.
but Charles, you think players nowadays care about their teammates like you did? I mean, you had the guys you played with. You guys were all together that all those years. Do you think that players in this day and age care about their teammates as much
That's
as players
a good
did
question.
back when you had Joe Montana
No,
and,
they
and
don't.
Jesse Sapulu and those kind of guys?
No, they don't. They don't. They care about their iPhone and Twitter account and Facebook.
Thank
and,
you for saying
and
it.
rap music.
You're honest.
It's not. The thing that kills me. Nothing. The game hasn't changed.
Right.
It hasn't changed. The players haven't changed. They need discipline. Okay.
The
But what
distractions.
happens is everybody want to say this millennium. Guess what? New England. Grew up in New England. Ain't no rap music playing. Hey, and Bill Belichick is a butthole. So now what? Hey,
Can that be a
guess
drop?
what? And what did he do? He can bring any player in,
Sure.
and change it.
He's proven that.
I got a question though.
Yeah.
Do the Raiders still have to give Pittsburgh those draft picks?
Yes.
They do. They do.
And that's a whole thing where a guy just torpedoed. I mean, the guy torpedoed 2 locker rooms within 4 months of one another, right?
Right.
And so it's. I mean, I don't know. I kind of believe in karma. Maybe it'll work out in New England. Maybe it won't. But there's what you're talking about, Charles. There was one moment. I remember this so well. I'd never heard a player talk about himself this way. But I remember watching ESPN and Michael Vick on there talking about his quote-unquote individual brand. And this is the era where players talk about their individual brand. And anybody who grew up playing sports, they know it's all about the team, it's sacrifice, and that is counterintuitive to a quote-unquote individual brand. And that's what has taken over this era.
You've got guys now who want to.
How about Deion, prime time, Michael Irvin?
Yeah.
Hey, those guys set the tone for it. You know,
Michael Irvin was a great teammate, wasn't he?
Yeah, but what I'm saying is he had his own brand.
Yeah, but he
Jim
wasn't
Brown.
talking about this is my brand.
He wasn't putting out his own YouTube videos every week before a game.
Because the only reason it wasn't because it wasn't.
You're saying he would have though.
Oh my God!
Deion did make a record.
Yeah.
He made a very mediocre record. He did do that.
I just say, you know what? It's some large egos
Yes.
in every locker room.
Yes.
You know, you have some people that deflate those egos, and you have those that blow on them, make them bigger. You know,
Have you seen anyone on this team at the time you've spent out there? Who is someone who's kind of an old soul who gets it? Is there anyone?
I love that
There's
question.
a lot of guys. I think Tyrone Smith. He
Tyrone
gets
Smith,
it.
yeah.
I
Love
think,
that answer.
yeah, good answer.
I think Lydell.
Lyle
Lyle
Collins?
Collins, yeah.
Great guy.
No, his Lydell, because that pisses him off bad. So when y'all talk to him, call him Lydell.
no.
Lydell.
And he said, look at the ladder. Just save the ladder. I said, I can't do it. I can't do it. The whole offensive line, when you
it's
sat
so
down,
true.
Yeah.
everybody but 52. His problem is, and I told him, is today the guards are athletic. They supposed to be. They got tackles playing guard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you got a finesse guy trying to line up against this big, heavy guy that all he wants to do is maul you. And you got an athletic guy. Athletic guy gonna try to use his athleticism no matter how you say it. You know, you get, and I told him, it's like the old school. All the old school guys did,
Yeah.
pick me up, take me where you want me to go then. You ain't gonna just do a move or something. That's one of the negative things about the where it is now is that you don't have the old school mentality inside. But like I tell Zeke and Dak and all those guys in the offensive line, they ain't the best offensive line in the business. They're not. And I told them that.
You remind them of that?
Oh yeah.
They probably like it. Those
Yeah,
guys.
and then I
those
remind
dudes.
them of all their weaknesses. I tell them how guys, because you know what, they think I need to watch the film to see what they're doing. So I have an issue with when I see things football-wise, it sticks.
Yeah.
So I don't have to go back and watch film to see what guys are doing wrong, and they get perplexed about it.
Yeah.
You know? Hey, I told them, hey, I just learned a new word today too. I just say perplexed. That was my word today. I'm glad y'all gave me an opportunity to use it.
Oh, gosh.
Well, I'm not perplexed to tell you that we're going to talk about the Dolphins next.
Oh,
Who?
Because
We
I
are?
haven't seen a Vegas
Why?
line be this high in a long time.
What's the line?
It's over
College
20.
football.
it is a college football line.
It's the happy hour.
Hey, I think Dak probably throw like 5 touchdowns.
Oh, let's do it in a minute. It's the happy hour presented by SWBC Mortgage on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Back to the SWBC Mortgage Dallas Cowboys Happy Hour.
Check this out.
Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
Everyone having a good time tonight?
Yeah.
All right. It's the happy hour. I'm Kevin KT Turner with Charles Haley, Brian Broaddus, Lindsey Draper, and Jeff Skinwade. And we're wrapping it up. It's our final segment here, and we
There's some
have
great food here, isn't it?
oh, that
It is
food's
so
delicious.
good.
What's your favorite so far? Like that hush
I
puppy?
see food, I eat food.
There we go. There we go. Speaking of seafood, some good shrimp cocktail happening
Yeah,
over there
baby.
at the Cowboy Club at the Star in Frisco. We got the Dolphins this week. Speaking of seafood, but we got the Dolphins this week, and they might be the worst team I've ever seen in NFL history. And all their players won out of town because let's face it, they're tanking. They're fairly open about it. They're tanking. The line on the game is over 20. I think it was 21's the last
21
I saw.
and a half, yeah.
21 and a half,
Yeah.
which is the highest Cowboy line I've seen in a long time, maybe in my life.
They've allowed over 100 points in 2 weeks.
So,
Easy.
Wow.
Lots of points.
So is it easy for a guy like me to just sit here and go, hey, just nobody get hurt and everything's okay? This is an easy win? Or is there still a chance of a team like the Dolphins kind of messing with your...
Oh, Brian will
messing
go
with your
off about
plans?
this. Brian will go off about
See, the problem you have right there is guys going to come in. That's why I said be humble. Guys going to come in thinking, oh, they ain't nothing, and then they go out there and play half speed.
Yeah.
And that's when you get hurt.
Don't let them hang around, I guess,
Yeah.
right?
You got to go out there like they're the best team ever. The worst, you know what? The worst teams that I ever played against was the hardest teams to beat.
No question.
And it hasn't changed.
Yeah.
'Cause that let down mentally, let down, oh, it's hard. You know what? Once you put it in neutral, you can't just crank it back up. It's going to take you a quarter and a half to get back up to that mentality. Most guys don't have that switch to turn on like that.
The NFL is a strange lady.
Yeah.
The NFL is a strange lady. And Charles is absolutely right. Some of those games.
Strange lady got me divorced.
Yeah, exactly. It cost you the pocketbook a little bit.
Yeah.
The thing with, I think the thing.
That's why I'm here working.
Absolutely. You and me both.
Stop, Brian.
The thing
Stop.
with Charles and I are all right. The thing I would worry about is we're talking about injuries to the Cowboys of quality players. We're talking about a wide receiver being out. We're talking about a defensive end. We're talking about a safety. We're talking about a nose tackle being out. Now all things are starting to be a little bit equal when it comes to, okay, wait, you're playing with backup players against their starters. So things will equal out a little bit there. But they have pride. The Dolphins they've lost both their games at home, and now they go on the road. It's your first road trip of the year, and they say, you know what? Let's just rally. Let's find a way to kind of get this feeling going. Let's get going again. Are they undermanned? Yeah, I think they are. But they've got a quarterback that doesn't care about throwing interceptions, and he will keep throwing the ball. If they get into a game all of a sudden, they don't have enough skill on the outside. They really don't. Parker, their wide receiver, is an outstanding player in my opinion. But they got a quarterback in Ryan Fitzpatrick that took an undermanned Tampa Bay team into New Orleans opening day last year and came away with a victory when he went toe-to-toe with Drew Brees. So all the Cowboys have to do is, like Charles said, come in there half speed, not paying attention, have some turnovers, give up some chunk plays because Parker's catching the ball down the field and letting this quarterback just carve them up. That could be a problem.
What about that triple reverse,
Yeah.
Hey, when you down like this, the head coach is going to find a way to get a point, to get something. And this is what makes them so dangerous. Because when you go in there, you can't go in looking at what they did last week and the week before.
Right.
You got to look at, okay.
Well, and the Cowboys have started slow the past 2 weeks and kind of been able to overcome it with their talent. But now the injuries they have, you don't have as much pad anymore.
You don't.
For that.
I think when you start taking starters off the field, now things equal out a little bit. But to me, this is where I think that the Dolphins no, they're not. They're not better than the Cowboys, and they won't be if you go player for player. But start taking players off the field in key spots, and all of a sudden now you got a guy like Howard, who the cornerback for the Dolphins. All of a sudden it's like, oh wait, there's no Michael Gallup. Well, who are they running out there? Cobb and Smith are out there now. Okay, wait a minute. We could cover Smith. Okay, now we're going to have to deal with Cobb, but we could take our best corner and travel him with, and they'll do that. You know, if Brian Flores, the coach, will travel. When watching the Dolphin film, when you watch Xavier Howard play, he travels like it's a college game.
Like a matchup guy.
Yeah,
like
he's
Belichick did.
He's a matchup guy. So all of a sudden, it's like you're taking weapons off the field, and then, you know, you're saying, okay, well, here you go. Backups are playing equal guy here.
So what happens if you bring both tight ends in? You bring 89 in with.
There you go. See, this is where
stretch it. Hey, that's safety.
Yeah,
89 can stretch.
See,
Hey,
this
he
is
put
where
pressure
Charles-
on that daggone safety. Let me tell you something. It's game changing.
This is why you brought a Hall of Famer to the set today, because he's right. If they only play with 4 wide receivers in this game, and they like to play a lot of 11 personnel stuff, okay, way to get around it is, and if you watch the Dolphins play the last 2 weeks, they've had problems covering the tight ends. They've had Blake Jarwin and Jason Witten could be factors in this game because the Dolphins they'll have to stretch to cover. So all of a sudden now you're going to see those guys getting more involved in the game. They're going to run the football. I don't think this is going to be a 21.5-point game. I think it'll be a lot tighter. Could it be 10? Could it be 14? 7? It could be.
It's going to be more than that. Man, come on, bro. Come on, bro.
You think they beat it by more than 21?
Yes.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Okay, I don't.
I
don't because I see the Dolphins. I see the Dolphins for 1 week. It's early enough in the season where there is pride. You get this thing to week 10, week 11.
What was that record last year?
The Dolphins.
It's bad.
They beat the Patriots on
I
that
didn't
wild.
That's what I'm
game.
saying.
What was that record last year?
But after week 1, there was a story that all the players were contacting their agents saying, "Get me out of here."
Yeah,
That's what
What
I
was
wonder
the score?
about.
What was
I
was
can't-
that record?
I can't remember if they had 5 or 6 wins. I can't remember.
they were a
that's
6-win
what-
team.
you're
Yeah.
not-
I'm
so
just saying-
You've
I'm
been
just
losing,
saying-
but what you not understand?
Oh, no, it's a
is
losing-
The mentality, it changes. You know what? When most of the teams that you see, like the Browns been getting first-round picks and
They're
second.
blowing every
and
one
then-
of them.
again, for all these years, but that mentality is that we're going to lose. It doesn't matter how many points we put up, we're going to lose. Hey, you cannot make a loser a winner.
I'm just saying for 1 week, the Cowboys are going to get their absolute best shot from this football team.
We got just over a minute left. We know Charles thinks the Cowboys got him by over 20. What about you, Bryce?
I don't. I think it's going to be a lot closer.
Closer?
I'm saying it's
what does a lot closer mean?
between 10 and 13 points.
13. Lindsay? You got a good point about the Cowboys starting slow in week 1 and 2.
They have started slow. I don't know about by 21, but definitely a win.
Okay, so not covering.
I think Cowboys cover.
You think the Cowboys cover.
Cowboys cover.
Over
Cooper Rush
21
coming
and a
in,
half?
though?
I think Cooper Rush might play the fourth quarter.
Who
Whoa.
was
Yes. The backup quarterback.
The backup quarterback, Cooper Rush.
Number 7.
You'll see him every
You
once in a
don't
while.
need-
If you're right, then you'll see
Hey,
him. You'll
I'm
know who
gonna
Cooper Rush is.
I'm gonna tell you like I told
There you
him.
go.
He's not a quarterback. He don't get on the field.
Yeah.
You
There
have
we
played
go.
to be a quarterback.
There
Here's
we
the
go.
guy.
You know.
Here's
Hey,
the guy. Well, thank you guys so much for the time tonight.
Thank
at the
you,
happy
KT
Oh,
hour.
God,
rocked it
man.
out. KT
Hey,
rocked
do
it
you love me
out.
like I love me?
Yeah,
Let's
you love
give
you.
it up for Charles Haley.
Yeah.
Give it up for Brian Broaddus,
Thank you.
though.
Yeah.
Give it up for Lindsey Draper.
Oh yeah.
Give it up for Jeff Skinway.
Yay!
Don't do anything for me.
Don't
Go,
worry.
KT.
Oh, give it up for KT,
Don't do
everybody.
it. Don't do it. I am Kevin KT Turner. Until next Wednesday night at 7, this has been the Happy Hour, brought to you by SWBC Mortgage on the Dallas Cowboys Radio Network.
Shake it. Don't break it.